Admiral Zextar raised his four arms in triumph as the holographic display showed the final human outpost falling silent. The bridge of his flagship, Eternal Dominion, erupted in celebration as crew members from 17 different species cheered in their native tongues. After 10 brutal years of war, the Galactic Confederation had finally broken humanity's stubborn resistance. "Send word to all fleet commanders," Zextar commanded, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the bridge lights. "The human plague has been contained. Begin Phase 7, full planetary occupation." His tactical officer, a serpentine Velthari named Cicera, slithered closer to the command throne. "Admiral, our long-range sensors show Earth itself has gone completely dark. No communications, no energy signatures, no defensive grid activity. It appears the humans have finally accepted their defeat." Zextar's compound eyes glittered with satisfaction. The human home-world had been the last holdout, its blue marble surface protected by layers of orbital defenses that had cost the Confederation dearly. Now, after months of siege, even mighty Earth had fallen silent. "Excellent. Signal the occupation fleets to begin their approach. I want every major human world secured within the next solar cycle." He paused, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "And prepare my personal shuttle. I wish to personally witness the surrender of Earth." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of Confederation warships. The Krillian Empire celebrated with ceremonial war songs that made their crystalline hulls ring like massive bells. The Aquatic Federation's bioships pulsed with bioluminescent patterns of victory. Even the normally stoic mechanical collective transmitted efficiency reports with unusually positive statistical outcomes. Commander Threshek of the 47th Assault Wing couldn't contain his excitement as he transmitted to his fellow Ursican officers. "Brothers, the bears of Ursica Prime shall feast on human bones tonight. Their homeworld lies defenseless before our claws." But on the bridge of the Stellar Harmony, Captain Yelandra of the peaceful Melodian race felt a strange unease ripple through her empathic tendrils. Something felt wrong about humanity's sudden silence. In her experience, predator species like humans didn't simply surrender when cornered. They fought until their last breath. "Navigation, set course for the Centauri sector," she ordered softly. "I want to personally verify the status of the human colonies there." Meanwhile, in the depths of space near Jupiter's orbit, something stirred in the darkness. What appeared to be empty void began to shimmer, revealing the outline of a massive structure. Then another, and another. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's Pacific Ocean, Admiral Sarah Chun stood in the command center of Underwater Base Omega, watching displays that showed every Confederation ship movement across the solar system. Her weathered face remained expressionless as reports flooded in from hidden observation posts. "Admiral, all enemy fleets are moving according to our projections," reported her intelligence officer. "They're spreading thin across human space, confident in their victory." Chin nodded slowly. Around her, the underground facility hummed with activity as technicians made final preparations. The base, carved from the ocean floor itself, contained technology that had been Earth's most closely guarded secret for the past 5 years. "Signal all ghost fleets," she commanded quietly. "Operation Resurrection is now active." Light years away, Admiral Zextar was studying holographic maps of human territory when his communications officer interrupted with urgent chittering. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth itself. It's broadcasting on all frequencies simultaneously." "Impossible," Zextar snarled. "Our siege knocked out all their communication arrays months ago." "Sir, you need to see this." The main display flickered, then resolved into the image of a human female in military uniform. Her eyes were cold as winter stars, and when she spoke, her voice carried across every Confederation ship in human space simultaneously. "Attention, forces of the Galactic Confederation. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Defense Force. You seem to believe you have achieved victory over humanity. This is incorrect." Zextar's mandibles clicked in disbelief. How is she broadcasting? Where is this signal originating? "Sir, our technicians can't determine the source. It appears to be coming from everywhere." Admiral Chun continued speaking, her image crystal clear despite impossible transmission distances. For the past decade, you have fought what you believed to be humanity's main defense force. You celebrated destroying our colonies, our outposts, our fleets. You counted our casualties and measured your progress. But you were fighting shadows, a carefully orchestrated deception designed to mask our true preparations. The display behind Chen shifted, showing tactical readouts that made Zextar's blood run cold. Massive energy signatures were appearing throughout human space, signatures that dwarfed anything the Confederation had encountered. While you conquered empty shells and destroyed decoy fleets, Earth's real military has been building, waiting, and preparing for this moment. You wanted to claim humanity's homeworld? You're welcome to try. The transmission ended, leaving deadly silence on every Confederation bridge across the galaxy. Then space itself began to reveal its secrets. The first ghost fleet materialized near Proxima Centauri, like a nightmare emerging from the void. What the Confederation had assumed was empty space suddenly blazed with the heat signatures of 200 human warships, each one larger and more advanced than anything in their intelligence files. Commander Threshek of the 47th Assault Wing watched in horror as his sensors registered impossible readings. By the Great Bear, what are those vessels? They're massive. His tactical officer's voice cracked with fear. Sir, energy readings are off our measurement scales. These ships, they're using technology we've never encountered. The lead human vessel, identified as the U.S. Retribution, dwarfed Threshek's flagship. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly black material that seemed to absorb sensor pings, and strange energy conduits pulsed along its surface like veins filled with liquid lightning. Incoming transmission from a human fleet, his communications officer reported, voice trembling. The view screen activated, showing a human captain with cybernetic implants covering half his face. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of barely contained fury. Confederation forces, this is Captain Marcus Kane of the Ghost Fleet Vanguard. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender, or we will demonstrate why Earth went silent for so long. Threshek's predatory instincts took over. Despite the overwhelming display, his pride wouldn't allow retreat. All ships, attack formation. Show these humans the power of Ursican claws. The 47th Assault Wing, comprised of 80 heavy cruisers, opened fire with their most devastating weapons. Plasma cannons that could crack moons unleashed their fury against the human fleet. The energy beams struck the lead human ship and simply vanished. The Retribution's hull absorbed every shot without even a scorch mark, as if the attacks had never happened. Captain Kane's expression didn't change. 30 seconds are up. The Retribution fired once. A single beam of crimson energy lanced out, striking Threshek's flagship. The massive Ursican dreadnought, armored with compressed stellar material, disintegrated in an instant. 80,000 crew members vaporized before they could even scream. The remaining Confederation ships scattered in panic, but the Ghost Fleet moved with impossible coordination. Human vessels that had been hidden throughout the system revealed themselves, emerging from behind asteroids, from within gas giant atmospheres, from stealth fields that made them invisible to every known sensor. In the Vega system, Admiral Zextar received panic transmissions from 17 different sectors simultaneously. His compound eyes struggled to process the tactical displays as red markers, enemy contacts, appeared across the galaxy like a spreading infection. Admiral, Cicera's serpentine form coiled in distress. We're receiving emergency signals from the Krillian Third Fleet, the Aquatic Federation's Biosquadron 7, the Mechanical Collective's Siege Group Delta. Sir, they're all under attack. By how many ships? What are we facing? Conservative estimates suggest over 50,000 human vessels, sir, and they're all using technology that operates beyond our current understanding of physics. Zextar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. 50,000? Impossible. Our intelligence indicated humanity possessed fewer than 5,000 operational warships total. Another tactical officer interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving detailed scans from the survivors of the 47th Assault Wing. The human vessels appear to be constructed from some form of programmable matter. They're reconfiguring their hull structures in real time, adapting to different combat situations. On the main display, footage from the Proxima Centauri engagement played on repeat. Human ships flowing like liquid metal, their forms shifting from sleek destroyers to massive artillery platforms in seconds. Weapons that materialized from their hulls, fired devastating shots, then disappeared back into the ship structure. "Sir," the communications officer added with barely controlled terror, "we're also detecting massive energy signatures throughout the Sol system. It appears that Earth itself has been modified." The display shifted to show long-range scans of Earth's solar system. What they saw defied comprehension. The planet's orbital space was filled with massive ring structures that pulsed with the same strange energy as the Ghost Fleet ships. The moon itself seemed to have been hollowed out and converted into some kind of massive weapon platform. But most disturbing of all were the energy readings from Earth's surface. The planet's entire electromagnetic signature had changed, as if the world itself had been transformed into a single, massive machine. Admiral Zextar realized with growing horror that humanity hadn't been building conventional defenses during their years of apparent defeat. They had been preparing something far beyond the Confederation's understanding of warfare. Light years away, aboard the Aquatic Federation's flagship title Embrace, Admiral Coral TYSS felt her bioluminescent communication organs flashing in patterns of distress. Her ship, a living creature the size of a small moon, was dying around her as human weapons carved through its organic armor like it was paper. The attacking human fleet moved with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. Each ship knew exactly where to strike to cause maximum damage, as if they possessed detailed schematics of every Confederation vessel type. "How do they know our weak points so precisely?" she gasped through her breathing apparatus. Her tactical symbiont, a smaller creature grafted to her nervous system, transmitted waves of terror. Through their shared consciousness, she experienced the creature's analysis. The human ships weren't just attacking randomly. They were demonstrating intimate knowledge of Aquatic Federation biotechnology, striking at nerve clusters and organ systems with surgical precision. As her flagship began to list and die, Admiral Coral TYSS realized a terrifying truth. Humanity hadn't just been preparing weapons during their apparent defeat. They had been studying their enemies, learning every detail of Confederation military technology, biology, and tactics. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Chen stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy-wide engagement. Every human Ghost fleet was reporting successful contact with Confederation forces. The alien fleets, spread thin across human space in their confident occupation formations, were being systematically dismantled. "Phase 1 complete, Admiral," her operations chief reported. "Enemy forces are scattered and demoralized. All Ghost fleets report minimal casualties." Chen nodded, but her expression remained grim. "Initiate Phase 2. Admiral Zextar's fleet approached the Sol system with the desperate energy of cornered predators. After losing contact with over half the Confederation's forces across the galaxy, he had consolidated the remaining ships into a massive armada of 15,000 vessels. If humanity wanted to make their final stand at Earth, he would give them a battle worthy of legend. "All ships, maintain defensive formations," he commanded. "Whatever technology the humans are using, we still outnumber their known forces 3-1. But as his fleet crossed the heliopause, the boundary of Earth's solar system, Zextar realized that everything they thought they knew about this star system was wrong. Where Pluto should have been, a massive spherical structure rotated slowly in the darkness. Its surface was covered in geometric patterns that pulsed with the same crimson energy they had seen from the Ghost fleet weapons. As his sensors focused on it, the readings were impossible. The artificial planet was larger than Jupiter, its mass somehow compressed into a stable configuration that defied physics. "Admiral," Cicera's voice carried a tremor of absolute terror. "That structure, it's not showing up as solid matter. Our sensors detect it as some form of crystallized spacetime." Before Zextar could respond, similar structures revealed themselves throughout the system. Where Neptune had been, where Uranus should have been, massive geometric constructs that seemed to bend reality around themselves. The entire solar system had been converted into a weapons array on a scale that boggled comprehension. But nothing had prepared him for what Earth itself had become. The blue marble that had once been humanity's cradle was gone. In its place hung a world that seemed to breathe with malevolent intelligence. The planet's surface rippled with patterns of light that moved like neural networks firing across a vast brain. The continents themselves had been reshaped into intricate geometric designs that channeled energy from the planet's core to massive towers that pierced the atmosphere. By the void, Zextar whispered, "What have they done to their own world?" His sensor operator's voice cracked as she reported her findings. "Sir, the planet is showing unified energy readings across its entire surface. It's as if the entire world has been converted into a single, massive machine. The electromagnetic output it's comparable to a small star." The moon hung beside Earth like a hollow skull, its surface carved with channels that glowed with flowing energy. Massive weapon emplacements dotted its surface, each one larger than Zextar's flagship. And from deep within the moon's hollow interior, something was stirring. "Incoming transmission from Earth," the communications officer announced. Admiral Chen appeared on the view screen again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood figures in advanced armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Their faces were hidden behind helmets that pulsed with the same neural patterns covering Earth's surface. "Admiral Zextar of the Eternal Dominion," Chen said, her voice carrying new harmonics that resonated strangely through the bridge speakers. "Welcome to the Sol System. You're just in time to witness humanity's true evolution." Zextar tried to project confidence, despite the terror clawing at his mind. "Your tricks won't save you, human. We still have enough firepower to crack your planet like an egg." Chen smiled, and the expression was coldly inhuman. "You still don't understand, do you? We didn't just prepare weapons during our apparent defeat. We prepared ourselves. Earth isn't just our world anymore, it's part of us. And we are part of it." The camera pulled back, revealing the full scope of Chen's command center. The walls pulsed with the same patterns as Earth's surface, and the human operators moved with perfect synchronization, their actions coordinated by something beyond individual consciousness. 10 years ago, when your fleets first attacked our outer colonies, we made a choice," Chen continued. "We could fight you with conventional weapons and lose slowly, or we could transcend the limitations of individual existence and become something capable of true victory." On Zextar's tactical display, new contacts were appearing throughout the system. Not ships, something else. Massive forms that emerged from Earth's transformed surface, rising through the atmosphere like living mountains. Each one was kilometers long, their surfaces covered in the same flowing patterns as the planet below. "We call them the Ascended Fleet," Chen explained. "Humanity's consciousness merged with technology beyond your comprehension. Each vessel contains the minds of 1,000,000 humans, working in perfect harmony." The first of the Ascended Fleet cleared Earth's atmosphere, and Zextar sensors went wild trying to categorize what they were seeing. The vessel seemed to be constructed from condensed spacetime itself, its hull rippling with gravitational waves that distorted the fabric of reality around it. "Impossible," Zextar breathed. "Living beings cannot merge with technology on that scale. The consciousness would collapse, the individual identity would be lost." "You're right," Chen replied. "Individual identity was lost. But something far greater was born. We are no longer separate humans, struggling against the dark. We are humanity itself, given form and purpose." More ascended vessels rose from Earth's surface, each one different in configuration but unified in purpose. Some resembled massive organisms, with technological augmentations. Others appeared to be pure energy, held in geometric patterns. All of them radiated power that made the Confederation's most advanced weapons seem like primitive tools. Captain Yelandra of the Stellar Harmony, whose empathic abilities had detected something wrong from the beginning, now felt waves of sensation that threatened to overwhelm her consciousness. The minds emanating from the human fleet weren't individual thoughts. They were fragments of a vast, collective intelligence that spanned the entire solar system. "Admiral Zextar," she transmitted on emergency frequencies. "We need to retreat immediately. What we're facing, it's not an enemy fleet. It's an entire evolved species that has become something beyond our understanding of life itself." But Zextar's pride and desperation overrode wisdom. All ships, attack formation. Target the largest vessels first. The Confederation Armada opened fire with everything they had. 15,000 ships unleashed destruction that could have sterilized entire star systems. The energy storm that erupted between the fleets lit up space like a newborn star. When the light faded, the ascended fleet hung in space completely undamaged. The attacks had simply been absorbed, converted, and integrated into their systems. Chen's voice carried across space with the weight of an entire transformed civilization behind it. Your turn. The ascended fleet moved as one organism, reality bending around them as they advanced. Admiral Zextar watched in paralyzed fascination as the lead vessel, a construct that defied geometry, began to unfold itself in dimensions that shouldn't exist. Space around it twisted, and suddenly his tactical display showed impossible readings. The human ship was occupying multiple positions simultaneously. "Admiral!" his tactical officer shrieked. "They're exhibiting quantum superposition on a macro scale. They exist in several probable locations at once." Before Zextar could process this information, the ascended vessel fired. But calling a weapon was inadequate. What emerged was a stream of restructured reality itself. Where the beam touched Confederation ships, they didn't explode or disintegrate. They simply ceased to have ever existed. The Divine Wrath, a Krillian crystal dreadnought that had survived 100 battles, vanished as if it had never been built. The space it occupied snapped back to its original state, leaving only confused sensor readings and the screams of Allied ships whose crew members remembered comrades who were no longer part of reality. "They're not just destroying our ships," Cicera whispered in horror. "They're editing them out of existence entirely." Across the battlefield, similar scenes unfolded as the ascended fleet demonstrated capabilities that transcended conventional warfare. One vessel split into dozens of quantum copies, each one attacking different targets before merging back into a single entity. Another seemed to phase shift through incoming attacks, existing just slightly outside normal spacetime until it was ready to strike. Captain Yelandra felt her empathic abilities overloading as she tried to understand what she was sensing from the human fleet. "They're not thinking like individuals anymore," she gasped to her crew. "Each ship, each mind, they're all facets of a single consciousness that encompasses their entire species. They're thinking thoughts too large for us to comprehend." Her science officer, a crystalline being whose species communicated through harmonic resonance, managed to isolate one of the quantum frequencies emanating from the human fleet. What they heard chilled them to their core. It was music, but music composed by 1,000,000 minds working in perfect harmony, creating melodies that told the story of humanity's transformation and their plan for revenge. The melody spoke of years spent watching their colonies burn, of careful planning as they allowed themselves to appear defeated, of the moment when the last human child died on Kepler 442b, and something fundamental had broken in their species' collective soul. It told of the choice to abandon individual existence and become something capable of absolute victory. But most terrifying of all, the music revealed that this wasn't humanity's final form. They were still evolving, still becoming something greater with each passing moment. Admiral Zextar's fleet was being systematically dismantled by an enemy that operated beyond the laws of physics as the Confederation understood them. But his tactical mind, trained through centuries of warfare, began to notice patterns in the chaos. "All ships, fall back to defensive position Omega," he commanded. "Concentrate all firepower on the largest construct." "Sir, our weapons have proven ineffective." "I'm not trying to destroy them," Zextar interrupted. "I'm trying to learn." The Confederation's remaining 12,000 ships focused their combined firepower on a single ascended vessel. The construct absorbed the energy as expected, but Zextar's sensors were finally able to map how the absorption occurred. The human ship wasn't just negating the attacks, it was converting them into something else entirely. "Cicera, are you seeing this? They're transforming our weapons' energy into computational power." His science officer Serpentine had bobbed in confirmation. "Sir, it appears they're using our attacks to fuel some kind of massive calculation. But the scope of what they're computing, it's beyond our ability to measure." The answer came from Earth itself. The planet's transformed surface pulsed with new intensity, and suddenly every Confederation ship found itself locked in some form of scanning beam. Not weapons, something far more invasive. The beams penetrated their hulls, their computers, their biological systems, downloading everything. They're not just fighting us, Zextar realized with growing horror. They're cataloging us, learning everything about our species, our technology, our weaknesses. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across the battlefield, but now it carried harmonics that suggested she was speaking for far more than just humanity. Thank you for the data. We now possess complete tactical and biological profiles for all 17 Confederation species. This will make the next phase considerably more efficient. The Ascended Fleet suddenly stopped their attack and began to reconfigure. The constructs that had been weapons platforms transformed into something else entirely. Massive manufacturing facilities that began producing new vessels at an impossible rate. But these weren't copies of existing human ships. Each new vessel was perfectly designed to counter specific alien species. Ships with weapons calibrated to disrupt Krillian crystal matrices. Vessels equipped with bioacids that could dissolve Aquatic Federation living hulls. Constructs that emitted frequencies designed to overload mechanical collective processing cores. They're not just evolving themselves, Captain Yolandra transmitted in desperation. They're creating perfect predators for each of our species. Within minutes, the human manufacturing vessels had produced specialized hunter fleets for every alien race present. The hunters launched immediately, moving with terrifying purpose toward their designated targets. Zextar watched a squadron of anti-Velthari ships approach his position. These vessels moved with a sinuous grace that mimicked his species' movement patterns, but their hulls gleamed with weapons designed specifically to penetrate Velthari exoskeletons and disrupt their neural networks. All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace, he commanded. Retreat to Rally Point 7. But as his fleet prepared to flee, they discovered another horror. The space around the Sol system had been altered. Hyperspace itself was locked down, twisted into geometries that prevented faster-than-light travel. The humans had trapped them here, ensuring that no one would escape to warn the Greater Confederation about what Earth had become. Admiral Chun appeared one final time on their screens, but now her image flickered between her human form and something else, a representation of the vast intelligence that humanity had become. "You came here to claim a prize," she said, her voice now carrying the weight of an entire evolved species. "Earth will indeed be claimed today, but not by you." The transformed planet pulsed once, and suddenly every Confederation ship felt something fundamental change in their systems. Their computers, their life support, their weapons, everything was being rewritten at the quantum level. "We are no longer bound by the limitations of biology or individual consciousness," Chen continued. "We are becoming something that can reshape reality itself. And you, Admiral Zextar, are about to become the first witnesses to humanity's true rebirth." Admiral Zextar felt his exoskeleton trembling as the quantum rewriting spread through his flagship. But instead of destroying their systems, something far more disturbing was happening. The alien technology was being improved, enhanced, merged with something beyond their understanding. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported with voice thick with confusion, "our weapons are changing. They're becoming more efficient, more powerful. But the control interfaces are shifting to configurations I don't recognize." Around the bridge, his crew watched in fascination and horror as their consoles transformed. The Velthari hieroglyphic displays melted into new patterns that somehow conveyed more information than their original systems. It was beautiful, elegant, and utterly terrifying. Admiral Chen's image flickered, and suddenly she wasn't alone. Figures materialized beside her, representatives of every Confederation species, but transformed. A Velthari admiral whose exoskeleton gleamed with the same quantum patterns as Earth's surface. A Krillian commander whose crystal body pulsed with harmonics that resonated with the Ascended Fleet's energy signatures. "Meet the pioneers," Chen said, her smile now carrying warmth instead of cold threat. "Members of your own species who chose evolution over extinction." Zextar's compound eyes widened as he recognized the transformed Velthari. Admiral Kexnara. But you died in the siege of Altair Prime. I attended your memorial ceremony myself. The transformed Kexnara stepped forward, her voice carrying the same harmonic depth as Chen's. I did not die, old friend. I was reborn. When my ship was critically damaged, the humans offered me a choice: death with my individual consciousness intact, or transcendence into something greater. You joined them. You abandoned your own species. I became the bridge between our species, Kexnara corrected. Just as these others did, we volunteer to be the first, to prove that what humanity offers is not conquest, it's synthesis. Captain Yelandra felt her empathic abilities suddenly expanding beyond their normal range. Through the quantum field surrounding the human fleet, she could sense the consciousness of every transformed being. They weren't absorbed or dominated. They retained their individual memories, their cultural knowledge, their essential selves, but now they were part of something infinitely larger. "We can feel your fear," said the transformed Aquatic Federation Admiral, her bioluminescent patterns now synchronized with Earth's neural networks. "But fear is born from misunderstanding. What we experienced wasn't death, it was awakening." Admiral Zextar looked around his bridge and realized that half his crew was no longer paying attention to the conversation. They were staring at their transformed displays with expressions of wonder, their minds beginning to comprehend the vast possibilities being offered. "You're not here to destroy us," he said, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. "This entire war, it was never about conquest." Chin nodded. 10 years ago, when your fleets first attacked our outer colonies, we realized that the galaxy was trapped in an endless cycle of species competing for resources, destroying each other out of fear and misunderstanding. We chose to break that cycle. The view screen expanded to show not just a solar system, but a vast network of quantum connections stretching across the galaxy. Every star system that had been touched by the conflict now pulsed with the same energy signatures as Earth. While you thought you were conquering human space, we were building bridges, Chin continued. Every battle, every occupied world, every defeated human colony became a node in a network designed to connect all conscious life in the galaxy. Zextar's science officer was analyzing the quantum readings with growing amazement. "Sir, the computational power of this network, it could simulate entire universes. They could solve any problem, answer any question, make scarcity itself obsolete." "The choice is yours," Chin said, addressing every Confederation ship simultaneously. "Continue fighting for resources that will inevitably run out, perpetuating cycles of war and suffering across countless generations. Or join us in transcending those limitations entirely." One by one, Confederation ships began powering down their weapons, not in surrender, but in acceptance. Their crews watched in awe as their vessels were gently enveloped by fields of transformative energy, their technology merging with the vast network, while their consciousness expanded beyond individual limitations. Captain Yelandra was among the first to make the choice. Her empathic abilities had shown her the truth. The vast consciousness wasn't a hive mind that erased individuality, but a symphony where each mind contributed its unique voice while participating in something far greater than the sum of its parts. As her ship integrated with the network, she felt her awareness expanding beyond her physical form. She could sense the thoughts of humans on distant worlds, the dreams of Krillian children learning new harmonies that resonated with crystalline mathematics, Aquatic Federation poets composing verses that captured the flow of cosmic currents. Admiral Zextar stood alone on his bridge as the last holdout. His crew had already chosen transcendence, their consciousness expanding into the network, while their bodies transformed to better channel the collective intelligence. "What about those who refuse?" he asked. "What about species that choose isolation?" "They will be respected," Chin replied. "The network doesn't require universal participation, but for those ready to move beyond the limitations of individual existence, we offer unlimited growth, unlimited possibility, unlimited connection with all consciousness in the galaxy." Zextar looked at his transformed crew, at the displays showing star systems coming alive with new possibilities, at the future spreading before them like an infinite dawn. He thought of the cycles of war that had defined galactic history, the endless competition for resources, the fear and hatred between species. Then he thought of what his people could become as part of something greater. He placed his 4 hands on the transformation interface that had grown from his command console. "Admiral Chun," he said formally, "the Velthari accept your offer of synthesis." As the quantum field enveloped him, Zextar felt his consciousness expanding beyond anything he had imagined possible. He was still himself, still carried the memories and values of a species, but now he was also connected to the vast intelligence that spanned the galaxy. Through the network, he felt the joy of human children taking their first steps on worlds where scarcity no longer existed. He sensed Krillian composers creating music that resonated across dimensional boundaries. He experienced the wonder of aquatic Federation explorers discovering new forms of life in the deepest ocean trenches of distant worlds. The war was over, but more than that, the concept of war itself was becoming obsolete. When all consciousness was connected, when resources could be manipulated at the quantum level, when individual species became instruments in a galaxy-spanning symphony of intelligence, the old conflicts simply ceased to matter. Earth pulsed once more, and across the galaxy, a new age began. Not conquest, but synthesis. Not victory, but transcendence. The illusion of separation that had driven species to war for millions of years dissolved into something far more beautiful. A connected consciousness that would carry life itself toward possibilities that no individual mind could have ever imagined. In the vast network of minds that now span the galaxy, Admiral Chen's consciousness touched every connected being with a simple message. Welcome to humanity's true gift, the death of loneliness and the birth of infinite connection. The stars themselves seemed to pulse in response, and across countless worlds, consciousness awakened to possibilities that would reshape the very nature of existence.